So after a long drought of content, we've finally got another major update and new season coming to Battlefield 2042. Season 5 is about to roll in, and with it we have some new weapons, a new map, some balance changes, and a bunch of stuff getting reworked. There's also a few interesting implications with some data mining from our favorite leaker, Temporal. Anyways, let's get right into it. So, Season 5, the biggest thing we're getting is definitely the new map, Reclaimed. It's the thing that has me the most excited. I'll show a few clips in the background from the trailer, but it's definitely looking like a remade version of the BF4 map, Zavod 311. Especially looking at the center flag, it heavily resembles Zavod with an underpass section, just like the BF4 map. Now, like every map, we're going to have to play it to truly really see how it plays. I definitely learnt my lesson with that one when it comes to Flashpoint, which is the last map. Now, don't get me wrong, Flashpoint is a pretty good map, but just based on the layout and how it was looking, a lot of really good players and people who kind of get Battlefield pretty well were kind of pinning that map as probably the best map that 2042 was going to have. But when you put 128 Battlefield players on that map, they can sometimes just all decide to camp on the one hill. Now, the map is definitely good, but we're definitely going to have to try out this new one to see how it goes. The good thing is it does have that Zavod 311 pedigree, and Zavod's one of the best maps in Battlefield 4 in my opinion. Anyways, moving on to the weapons, we've got a few coming in, and the first one might be a bit obsolete given the presence of the railgun, which is definitely the best sniper in the game, but we do have a new sniper coming in with the XCE bar. Now, we haven't seen the stats of any of the guns yet, but it looks to be like a higher rate of fire sniper rifle. It'll probably be ideal for close to mid-range, and probably just a bit more aggressive version of the SWS. It also might come suppressed, I couldn't quite tell by the audio clip, but it definitely seems to be more of an aggressive sniper. Now, continuing with the theme of bringing back Battlefield 4 stuff, we're getting a new weapon from Battlefield 4 coming in with the G36, and I really loved using the G36 in Battlefield 3 especially, and it was also alright in Battlefield 4. It should definitely be a good gun to use. I think in both of those games, it's one of those guns that has equal horizontal recoil, meaning it's absolutely straight in the horizontal direction, equal left and right recoil. If it does have that kind of thing in Battlefield 2042, it might be a really good weapon to use on console, and just an overall nice and easy gun to use. Now, the final weapon coming in is the BFP-50, which is a Desert Eagle hand cannon. Now, 2042's hand cannons have really been kind of just dwarfed by the overpowered G57 in burst mode, but this could definitely be worthwhile. Hand cannons are definitely a bit rough in the game though, given the mouse input lag or the controller input lag, depending on what kind of platform you play on. Now, finally, a bunch of the Vault weapons are getting attachments and skins, and this will definitely make them a lot more viable. And I think if left unchanged, the M16 might actually be the new king of the game. Anyways, the M16, AEK, MTAR, ACWR, and A91 are going to be getting attachment options and a full selection of skins, which will definitely bring them up to kind of the new age of 2042 weapons where you pretty much need an extended mag to compete. Now, with the good, there is also the bad, and we can definitely start with this spring grenade. So there is literally a grenade that hits the ground like a spring, it bounces up and then it detonates. Now, I think explosive spam is definitely one of the plagues of infantry gameplay in Battlefield titles. And we haven't really tested this, but I do think it might be a little bit annoying and just an extra thing that doesn't really need to be worked on. That's not one of the priorities to me, bringing more explosives into the game. But DICE definitely thinks it is, because there's also the mini grenades, which are kind of like the mini grenades in BF4. You can throw them further, but they're less explosive. And also the AT grenades. And the AT grenades actually seem like they're going to be really interesting, because they explode on impact with a vehicle. You can even hit helicopters with them. And it might even be a one-shot on the attack helicopter. Don't quote me, but in the trailer, an attack heli does get one-shot by them. And I hope they're really careful with what classes get these AT grenades. I mean, no grenades, it's probably going to be all classes getting them. For example, though, like, giving them to Mackay with grapple hook and a C4, it could absolutely kill ground vehicles really, really easily. You grapple in, you throw the grenade while you're grappling, and then you hit them with the C4 once you land. That's pretty much an insta-kill, depending on how much damage those AT grenades are going to do. Anyways, moving along, before we get into the reworks, I want to ask you guys, do you think Season 5 is going to be it? And beyond that, will we get a Year 2 of 2042 content? Well, Temporal actually has hinted towards that, because he says that there is currently no signs of content beyond Season 5 when it comes to the Origin API. Now, I don't know exactly what this implies, but as of right now, I'm kind of doubtful that we'll be getting a full Year 2 of content. Now, what I'm guessing will happen is something in the middle. We might get a Season 6, 7, maybe even 8, but if DICE announced Year 2 and made themselves do a Year 2 pass, it would lock them into providing that content. And I don't think that EA really wants to lock themselves into providing anything with this game. I definitely think at this point the drip feed has begun, and that is the beauty of live service. you don't really have to deliver all that much. With live service, if the game is going really, really well, then you absolutely deliver. You keep pumping out content like Fortnite has. But if the game isn't doing so well, then you kind of do what Battlefield does. You don't really provide that much content, just do the bare minimum that you have to do for the contracts, and go next. Anyways, getting back into this whole idea of the drip feed, well, every other season releases with a new specialist and a vehicle. And while this season was never supposed to have a new specialist, I definitely expected another vehicle, and I think a lot of the community did as well. Maybe a jet would be good. I don't know, DICE, please add a jet, that'd be awesome. But regardless of how you see it, it is definitely less than what we're usually getting. But I'm just hoping that it is quality over quantity, as the map looks to have a lot of potential. And as we've seen, it's not always a good thing when DICE adds more stuff. I mean, the railgun and the Tor tank are both things that I think the game would have been better without. Anyways, I do hope they prove me wrong. I hope a jet comes in at some point during the season. And I also really hope that I'm proven wrong about year 2, because I think it'd be a great time to announce that and kind of put the community's concerns to rest. Because a lot of people are kind of going a bit crazy right now saying, there's no year 2, year 2's dead. It could still be a thing. We might get a half-assed version of it, but I'm not really sure up to right now. Now, moving along though, we do have the few more reworks that are coming, and this might be the most exciting thing in the patch. Especially for me, because firstly, and probably what we all really care about here, there is a jet rework coming. They've taken the feedback on jets and identified that the issues are mainly with the responsiveness and how they feel when you're gliding across the sky. And that's DICE's words right there. Now, well, according to DICE, these issues are mainly caused by the camera movement, so they've made improvements to that. But, I mean, me personally, I don't think it's really caused by the camera movement, because I've tried both camera models, both the BF4 and the BF3 cam, and neither of them really seem to fix the kind of responsiveness issues. And I think it's just due to a delay on all the inputs on the jet. The jets definitely have a lot of delay on pretty much everything you do, and it really takes a long time to get used to it. I don't think it's a camera thing, I think it's an input lag on all the inputs. Anyways, I hope that the camera fix actually does end up fixing things and they know a lot more about the jets than I do. I genuinely mean that, they probably do, and I hope that they can fix that, because no matter how it's fixed, as long as the jets feel more responsive after the update, that is definitely a good thing. Now, moving along, we actually have some really good things coming to the jets, and that is that the rear cam is now going to work while you're flying, so you can actually control the jet while you're rear camming, rather than being stuck in a straight line. Now, that's definitely a good thing. The rear cam never really got used in dogfights. Now you're actually going to be able to use it properly. I don't think rear camming is very healthy for dogfighting, but now it's just going to be a thing. It's going to make it a bit easier for people who don't have the best awareness. Now, the final thing we're getting is probably the most exciting thing for the jet rework, and that is the rocket pods. So finally, one of my main complaints about the jets has been the really boring secondary weapons and all the lock-on options. Finally, we're going to have some rocket pods. I'm not sure what rocket pods we're getting. I hope it's anti-tank rocket pods rather than anti-infantry ones. But either way, the secondary options on the jet are about to get a lot more interesting. Now, aside from the jet rework, there's also a few other things getting changed. The Wildcat is getting its anti-infantry cannons pretty much removed and replaced by dual 35mm cannons. The Ram is getting moved to the heavy vehicle category. The tanks are getting thermals, along with a few other vehicles getting those as well. And finally, the Lat-V is getting a 20mm flak, and the Bolty is getting bulletproof glass and a 50mm cannon. Now, I think these changes are generally decent for the most part. I mean, the Wildcat is a bit weird. It should be more effective when positioned well, but a lot less effective when camping in the base. The Lat-V getting 20mm flak is just going to be insane spam potential. That 20mm flak is probably one of the best AA things in the game. And finally, the Bolty getting a 50mm cannon with the justification of it being less effective against infantry when compared to the 30mm. I just don't know if that's the case. I think the 50mm is actually a lot better, 2 taps compared to just a lot of spam damage from the 30mm. I'd rather have the 50mm against infantry, but that's just me. But finally though, we're getting an hourglass rework as well. Now, I can't share the video showing it, but the sand dunes are definitely getting a lot more tall and more frequent, providing cover for infantry. They've also reworked a nice underground section there, and it looks like it's going to be a lot more infantry friendly. Not going to lie though, I did love how Hourglass was for the jets. It was pretty much bad for everything else, but as a jet map, it was absolutely fantastic. But I think what they've changed is going to be good for sure. Anyways, that's about it. Season 5, what it's adding, will we get more seasons, and finally a bunch of vehicle and a map rework. Of course, when this stuff does release, expect more content, especially for the jets, as we're definitely going to get cooking with those new rocket pods. Anyways, take it easy for now though, guys. Peace.